Hello, it's Jimmy here at O'Reilly's. Just got here to look at a Toyota Yaris. Okay, so this vehicle's got the engine management light on. It has 86,000 miles. Okay, so inside the vehicle, engine management light is on. It's tried to have 3 forced regens and a replacement EGR valve and sensors, and the regens failed to complete, so he's come down to me to see if I can get the problem sorted out. Here are the fault codes that we have: P2463, P2463. Now, this customer bought the car, and the next morning these codes appeared, so he was obviously tricked into buying the car, and we don't know any of the history behind it. It is quite low mileage, I'll be honest, 80,000 for a car that's 11 years old. So I'm going to put it down to the driving style. So if we go to the data stream here, we can look. The only thing that would stop it from regenning without a fault code would be the coolant temperature. So we'll see if that goes above sort of 80 degrees. So we're just going to hold the revs up for a couple of minutes like this, see if the temperature increases. Okay, so there you have it, it's at 84 degrees, so I think the thermostat is working fine. Go to data stream and look for differential pressure. Lack of power, we'll look at the map sensor and see if we can find an airflow meter. We'll look at the boost as well. Okay, we have about 70 to 80 millibars of pressure on the DPF, so it's very blocked. Manifold pressure, give it a rev up and down. Doesn't seem to be rising very much. Targeted boost pressure seems to be where it wants it to be. RPM. We have around 300 millibars of pressure. I think we may have an issue with the manifold pressure. Get the bottle open. So it's the D4D. Yeah, I've done one of these a couple of days ago, actually yesterday, in fact, on a Yaris and Toyota Yaris. So I think we may have on this engine, I think most of these Japanese engines are bad for carbon and upward soot in the intake. I'm not really familiar with this engine, so I'm going to need to find where the manifold pressure sensor is. Okay, engine cover off. Now, customer said it's been at a garage 3 separate occasions for 3 DPF regenerations, but they all failed. So they changed the EGR valve, and he did mention some other parts that they changed. I can't remember. Okay, from what I can see here, is that we got a... Oh no, that's just a sponge. I thought we had... It is wet though, it is wet. It looks like we got some sort of a leakage down here from somewhere, but I'm not sure if it's anything to worry about. Manifold pressure, well, we need to have a look around the engine, see if we can find where that is. Definitely got a bit of a leak down here, maybe from one of these pipes. If we come down in here between the EGR valve, I'm not sure if it's too much to worry about, but there is weeping around there. So after a little bit of looking around, I think what I've found here is the map sensor. Looks like it's fed away from the manifold on a hose. So we're going to need to have a look at that. I think what I'm going to do for a minute is I'm going to clear the engine codes and then see if the manifold pressure reads. But I think looking at the diameter of that, it's quite small. You could almost definitely say that pipe is blocked, and it looks like I may have to remove the EGR valve to get to where it goes, because it's running right behind there, down in there. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go ahead with having a go at getting into this manifold pressure sensor. So it looks like if I remove this, hopefully we might be able to just move the wiring down a little bit and get to the other end of this hose, see if we can confirm that it's blocked. Okay, so we've got that pipe removed. It's a little bit easier than expected there. We got that out. Now this looks like some sort of filter that could possibly be blocked. Okay, so I'm just poking a cable here through that hole that goes into the manifold. It didn't seem like it was blocked, I'll be honest. So this is the hose that goes from the manifold pressure sensor. I've got it on a MIDI vac just to confirm that there's no pressure. Got a little bit of movement, but put a cable through the pipe and it's not blocked. So we'll reconnect that back up to the sensor here. Okay, so over here we have the DPF pressure sensor. Remove the little 10mm bolt that holds it onto the clamp there, and we can get the hose off. So this is the hose that goes before the DPF on this side, so we're going to get the fluid in there. Okay, now I've got this connected up to the DPF pressure hose. That's connected back to my DPF gun, and that's connected to the compressor at 130 psi, and we're using this fluid from Launch UK, DPF cleaning fluid, and we're just going to squeeze the trigger now, get it sprayed in. Now the DPF sits quite high on this, so I'm not going to put the full amount in with the engine off. It sits higher than the cylinders by the looks of it, and if you overfill the DPF it will come back into the cylinders. Okay, so we're going to get back in the car now, start it up, and you should see some steam coming out almost immediately, as long as your engine is hot. And we can squeeze the trigger and we'll hold that squeezed until all of the fluid's gone in. So just make sure that that tube is pushed in a little bit tight. It's too much pressure, it came off. Try that again. Okay, so I've had to hold the gun on just to get the rest of the fluid in. There's a bit too much pressure in there, and the tube is quite soft. So we'll let that idle now for a minute until the vapour is all gone, and then we can get it reconnected back up. Okay, so all the fluid's in. You can see some of it's coming out the back there. Okay, I'm back in the vehicle. We can see we got the pressure's come down a bit, so we're going to give it a few revs now just to get it cleared out. Hold it up around 3000 RPM again, and keep an eye on that pressure. So we're down from 250, was it? Down to 80 so far. It's hard to keep the revs in the same position. Moved a little bit there. So we're down close to where it should be now. Just let it idle, see where we are. Still a little bit high on idle. Okay, now with the engine off, I'm going to go to the special function, DPF deterioration, clear that. Now we're going to clear the fault memory. Just confirm that they're gone. Turn the ignition off and wait about 30 seconds until the interior lights go off, and then we can put the key back in. Right, so what I'm going to try on it is, I've just come back here and noticed that the faults are also present in the OBD, so maybe it's just because of that. We're going to clear all of the faults from out here. Okay, so doing the reset like that seemed to have done the trick. And now I'm just on a test run. You can see on live data that the DPF is reaching 600 degrees, so it's doing its own regen right now. Okay, so after the test drive, if we look on the live data, we still have around about 13 millibars of pressure, which is not good, so I think there is some damage to the DPF. Now, customer said that it was regened multiple times before, so that could have been the cause. So 3000 RPM, we have 70 millibars of pressure, which that's not too bad. But then when it's not idling down properly at the minute, it's idling high. But it's idling around about 13 millibars of pressure. The idle is a little bit high at the minute. I think it's probably trying to set off another regen, is it? I'm not sure at the minute. Don't know why it's idling high. If we come in, read the fault codes, you can see all of the fault codes are gone. We've had it on around about 8 or 10 miles test drive. But I've got a feeling that the light may come back, because the pressure just isn't 100% where I'd like it to be. Okay, so that's it on the Yaris. We're all finished on it. But yeah, I think the DPF is sort of coming to the end of its life. And see you on our next video.